History isn't written by the cautious, it's written by the bold. And when it comes to handguns, only a few have stood the test of time to become true legends. These pistols didn't just punch paper at the range, they shaped wars, sparked revolutions, and even helped craft the very myths that define our culture today. Some of them are instantly recognizable by sight, others by sound alone. And while new technology keeps rolling out year after year, these icons refuse to fade into the background. Today we're taking a walk through history, through innovation, grit, and raw influence to spotlight the handguns that became more than just tools. They became symbols. Welcome to the top 8 most iconic handguns of all time. Some you know by heart, some you might discover for the first time. But all of them changed the world forever. Some guns changed the game. The Glock 17 didn't just change it, it flipped the whole table. When Gaston Glock, an Austrian engineer who had never built a pistol before, set out to create a military sidearm in the early 1980s, nobody expected him to destroy decades of firearm tradition in the process. Steel frames? Gone. Heavy, complicated designs? Gone. In their place, a lightweight polymer-framed pistol with a 17+1 round capacity, simple internals, and a design so rugged you could drag it through hell and back, and it would still fire. When it hit the scene in 1982, people laughed at the plastic gun. They called it ugly. They called it cheap. Then they tried to break it, and failed. Militaries, police forces, and eventually civilian shooters around the world adopted it en masse because it simply refused to die. Almost every modern striker-fired pistol today owes DNA to the Glock 17. Its blocky slide, minimalist controls, and point-and-shoot reliability have become instantly recognizable worldwide. 40-plus years later, the Glock 17 still fights at the front lines. It's not just a gun anymore, it's a standard. Every time you pick up a modern 9mm, you're holding a piece of the Glock 17's legacy. Picture this: a smoky casino somewhere on the Riviera. A tuxedoed man leans casually at the bar, one hand holding a martini, the other never straying too far from his holster. Inside that leather rig sits the Walther PPK, compact, sleek, and deadly. It wasn't always destined for Hollywood fame. Designed in 1931 as a shorter, more concealable version of the Walther PP, the PPK was pure German efficiency, blowback operated, simple to maintain, easy to hide. It became a favorite of European police officers and even found its way into military circles during World War II. But it was James Bond who truly immortalized it. When Dr. No hit theaters in 1962, Sean Connery's Bond traded his old Beretta for the Walther PPK, and suddenly, every man on the planet wanted one. It wasn't just a gun anymore. It was a statement, sophisticated, calculated, lethal without showing off. The PPK's influence didn't stop there. Its design inspired generations of concealed carry pistols and influenced what we expect from a gentleman's gun, even today. Even after nearly a century, the PPK remains a cultural icon, a pistol with a presence far bigger than its compact frame. One of the most easily recognizable guns in the world, the Beretta 92's exposed barrel gives it its distinctive look, which adds to its status as an icon. One of the reasons why the Beretta 92 has become so popular over the past few decades is because of its presence in video games. Born in 1975, the Beretta 92 came from a company with centuries of firearm experience. Literally, Beretta has been building weapons since the 1500s. The 92's design was a clean break from traditional military sidearms. Its open-top slide, polished double-action single-action trigger system, and ultra-smooth feeding made it instantly stand out. It wasn't just reliable, it was refined. When the U.S. military officially adopted the Beretta 92, designated the M9 in 1985, it marked a monumental shift away from the .45 ACP-powered M1911. The military wanted higher capacity, easier maintenance, and a more modern fighting pistol, and Beretta delivered. But the real magic happened off the battlefield. Hollywood seized on the Beretta's sleek, futuristic look. From lethal weapon to die hard, the 92 became the movie gun of the 80s and 90s. Even today, that curved trigger guard, exposed barrel, and glossy black frame are instantly recognizable on screen. Beretta kept evolving the platform too, with dozens of variants like the 92FS, 92A1, and the newer 92X series. Each iteration refined the formula, but never strayed too far from the original brilliance. In a world full of polymer-framed modern pistols, the Beretta 92 still carries old-school metal charm, balancing ruggedness and elegance like almost nothing else. It didn't just win contracts, it won hearts. I'm sure most of you are tired of hearing that the Colt Python is the Cadillac of revolvers. I can relate. The Colt Combat from the 1980s was considered by wheelgun enthusiasts around the world to be the best .357 Magnum revolvers ever built, and the Manurin MER-73 was ranked a close second. Newer Colt and Manurin models are still some of the finest wheelguns in the industry, and even Performance Center Smith & Wesson 686 models will easily outclass any factory Colt Python, old or new. Introduced in 1955, the Colt Python wasn't just another revolver, it was a statement. Built with precision craftsmanship, hand-fitted parts, and Colt's legendary royal blue finish that shimmered like a pool of midnight oil, it was the revolver every shooter dreamed about owning someday. Not because they needed it, but because they wanted it. Growing up, we heard stories about the Python. It was the revolver carried by detectives, admired in glass cases, or bragged about at the range. In the days before polymer took over, owning a Python was like having a Cadillac parked in your driveway. It wasn't practical. It wasn't cheap. It was better. Tight cylinder lockup, a buttery double-action trigger pull that felt like pulling a velvet rope, accuracy that could humiliate much newer designs. The Colt Python wasn't just built, it was crafted. Even today, decades after its original run ended, the Python is still revered. Colt even brought it back in 2020, recognizing that some legends never really die. They just wait for the world to catch up. The Colt Python wasn't built for pragmatists. It was built for dreamers, for purists, for those who understand that sometimes the best things in life exist simply because they can. Talk to any true handgun nerd, and sooner or later the CZ75 will come up, usually spoken about with a kind of reverence reserved for holy relics. And honestly, it's earned it. Released in 1975 behind the Iron Curtain, the CZ75 was a unicorn, a double-stack, all-steel DASA 9mm that handled like a dream. Ergonomics that felt natural, a low-bore axis that tamed recoil beautifully, and a crisp, clean trigger system. This gun had it all, except for one thing: freedom. Thanks to Cold War politics, CZ couldn't patent the design internationally. Copies flooded the world market, and while that may have hurt CZ's profits, it cemented the 75's reputation as one of the most influential pistols ever made. Jericho, Tanfolio, Baby Eagles, clones upon clones, all of them owe their existence to the original 75. Some myths even claim it's the most copied handgun design of all time, but let's clear that up. It's the second, right behind the legendary 1911. Even CZ themselves admit that. But being second only to John Browning's masterpiece? That's elite company. Modern shooters still flock to the CZ75 for its timeless shooting experience. The weight, the balance, the slide-and-frame design that makes it track flat and fast. It's not nostalgia. It's performance that still crushes. The CZ75 isn't loud about its greatness. It doesn't need to be. It's the quiet legend in the room, the pistol that true shooters never stop appreciating. Before it became the stuff of sci-fi blasters and video game nostalgia, the Mauser C96 was a lifeline, a last line between survival and death. Born in Germany in 1896, the C96 was one of the first successful semi-automatic pistols. It looked like nothing else on the battlefield. Long barrel, fixed magazine loaded from the top, and that instantly recognizable broom handle grip. Weird? Definitely. Effective? Absolutely. But it wasn't just the design that made the C96 a legend. It was the stories. Winston Churchill carried a Mauser C96 at the Battle of Omdurman in 1898, cutting down enemy forces and surviving what could have been his final chapter. That moment wasn't just a footnote. It arguably altered the entire course of 20th century history. Without Churchill's survival, without his leadership in World War II, the world might have looked very, very different. This wasn't a delicate range toy. The C96 was a brutal, rugged sidearm built for real-world chaos, and it delivered. Chambered in the spicy 7.63 by 25mm cartridge, it hit hard, shot flat, and extended your reach well beyond the typical handgun norms of the day. Soldiers, officers, revolutionaries all trusted it when things got ugly. Even decades after production ended, the C96 lived on in pop culture. morphing into Han Solo's DL-44 blaster in Star Wars, popping up in Resident Evil 4, and etching its silhouette into the minds of multiple generations. The Mauser C96 wasn't just a gun. It was survival, rebellion, and innovation all wrapped into one weird, wonderful package. John Moses Browning's masterpiece was adopted by the U.S. military in 1911, and it quickly earned its place on the battlefield. World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Everywhere American soldiers fought and bled, the M1911 rode with them, a slab-sided Guardian chambered in hard-hitting .45 ACP. This wasn't a pistol built for comfort. It was built for war. Solid steel frame, single-action trigger with a crisp, battle-ready break, safety systems that let you carry it hot but safe. When you drew a 1911, it wasn't a question of if it would fire. It was a question of how fast you could get on target. For over 70 years, the M1911 served as America's standard sidearm, longer than any other in U.S. history. Even after being officially replaced by the Beretta M9 in the 1980s, elite forces and specialized units kept the 1911 close. Some still do today. It's also the reason the .45 ACP refuses to fade away. In an era dominated by high-capacity 9mm, there's still something brutally reassuring about a heavy slab of steel barking out a fat, 230-grain slug. Modern shooters have endless polymer options, but the M1911 remains the handgun people turn to when they want to feel a connection to warriors past, to blood, grit, and the harsh realities of battle. The 1911 isn't just a firearm, it's a piece of American backbone forged into cold, unbreakable steel. The most recognizable and arguably the most American revolver ever built, the Colt Single Action Army, or Colt SAA for short, is now known by many different names. The Equalizer, the Model P, the Frontier, the M1873, the Peacemaker, and the gun that won the West. It was adopted by the U.S. Army as their standard-issue sidearm from 1873 to 1892 and has been copied non-stop by companies like Standard Manufacturing, USFA, Great Western Arms, Pieta, Uberti, and Army San Marco. Why is it number 3 on this list? It's because of the OK Corral shootout. Considered by many as the most famous gunfight in the history of the American Old West, the shootout at the OK Corral occurred on Wednesday, October 26 of 1881. It happened in Tombstone, Arizona Territory, and reportedly only lasted for about 30 seconds. But if you've ever been in a gunfight, 30 seconds is like an eternity. The shootout was between a group of lawmen which included the Earp brothers and Doc Holliday, and the Clanton-McClory gang, members of a loosely organized group of outlaws. Most, if not all of them, used the Colt Single Action Army. When the dust settled, 3 members of the criminal gang were killed, and the Earp brothers, Doc Holliday, the gunfight, and the revolver they all used would become legends, immortalized time and again in Hollywood movies. And if you're a Resident Evil fan, you probably know the Colt Single Action Army was a secret weapon for Claire. Sorry, but I just had to bring that up. These 8 handguns didn't just fire bullets. They fired imaginations, built empires, defended nations, and carved their places into history. Each one stands as a testament to human ingenuity, grit, and the will to create something that lasts far beyond a battlefield or a generation. From dusty saloons to galactic battles, these handguns aren't just tools, they are legends forged in steel and sweat. History remembers icons. These are the pistols history refuses to forget. Got a favorite handgun that deserves a spot on this list? Drop it in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more deep dives into firearms legends.